So, the marvelous world of media, and we can anticipate the glorious future and what lies ahead there. So just I'd like to throw a few ideas about looking at how compelling the opportunity is for regional TV in a rapidly changing world of media. Let's begin by looking at the past and looking at the very big picture of the big economies. So in the US economy in 1980, it was worth $4.9 trillion US. And the weight of goods produced was 1.3 billion tons. Now, if we fast forward for the next 20 years, the economy almost doubled in size to 9.3 trillion US. Yet the actual weight of goods produced had barely gone up. And if we look forward to the next, say, approximately 16 to 24 years, the global economy will double in size. And all of that growth will be from things that weigh nothing. Ideas, information, media, services. So that's very fortunately the world in which you live in. So just want to get a little idea of the scope of this. I'd like to give away a copy of my book, Living Networks, to whoever can tell me within a couple of percent what proportion of Australia's value creation is in services. Anybody prepared to hazard a guess? Up. 40%. Come on, nobody won it. You might have another chance later. 76% of Australia's economy is in services, including media. So back 100 years ago, we had lots of Australia's economy was digging things out of the ground and growing them and sending them off around the world. Australia had the highest GDP in the world, along with Argentina. Today, agriculture is around 2.5% of the economy, resources is 4%. We think, yeah, that's what we do as an economy. Our economy is based on those things that weigh nothing, and media is a bigger and bigger part of that. And in fact, we're moving towards a world where media is everything. There's no longer, we don't live in the physical. That's not the part that has value. The value is where everything in some form is media. That's what an organization does inside itself. It creates messages, it disseminates them, it tries to get attention. That's what happens in the world at large. And if we expand our thinking about what media actually is, that is content and ideas that goes out through channels and reaches people, that is almost all of our future as humanity. And that's the opportunity which you have lying ahead. So just take a little bit of data on television. I'll try to explain this little chart here. This actually comes from Ofcom, the UK telecoms regulator. And the reason I've taken this is partly because they have better data on how people are using media around the world than anyone else. And in addition, there's actually, Britain is a highly regional market for television. So this shows for all adults in this left-hand column, the proportion of people who, if they had to give up one media channel, the one which they would least want to give up. And you can see that it's basically 50% or more television is a thing saying, please, do not take away my television. That is the thing which I need the most in my life. And it's increasing. That second column, that second 3 bars, is 16 to 24-year-olds, the young slackers who are not connected to anything except for themselves and their social networks. And in fact, each year, 2005, 2007, 2009, the amount they see TV as central to their media lives is increasing year by year. Television is not going away. The power of television is part of a far more diverse future which we're reaching. But it is still, there's still this power of the screen, the power of the image, the power of the extraordinary content that we have is absolutely compelling. Now, if we think about the future broadly, there's 2 things to think about. One is the trends, the driving forces, the things that we know. And we know, for example, we're going to have more bandwidth next year than we did last year. We know, for example, there are going to be more people in Australia. There are a lot of things that we don't know as well. But if we bring some of these things together, we can play out some of the ways in which the world will move forward. Incidentally, next week I'm in New York speaking about the future of global media. Now you might think the future of local media, future of global media, are these different? No, these are in fact almost exactly the same topic. The two biggest forces in media today are globalization and localization. So globalization is about, for example, if you're following what's happening in the British elections and you're sitting in Byron Bay, why would you look at the Sydney Morning Herald? You wouldn't look at the local papers. You can go to The Guardian or The Independent, and that will give you some local things. So the media becomes global in more and more facets. Yet more and more of what is meaningful in people's lives is local, and there's so many more ways to be able to deliver that local value and that local content. And that is one of the prime forces driving media, driving this exploding part of the economy moving forward, and where you are centrally positioned. One nice example of that is KSL TV in Salt Lake City, Utah. And it's a very rich story. They, in fact, have quite a few channels, KSL TV, website, a newspaper, some web content. And they have been a standout success. It's interesting. Clark Gilbert is their CEO. He used to be a Harvard business professor, and back in the 90s, he did studies of the media industry showing some of the challenges and the opportunities moving forward. Some people listened, some people didn't, but it's turned out that a lot of his ideas were brought to, came real, and he's now putting those ideas into practice. So, for example, their newspaper property is up 20% in readership last year. Their website, Utah has a population of 2.5 million, around 0.8% of that of the entire United States. It has the fourth biggest broadcast website in the country. And the KSL TV is growing rapidly, partly by how they're bringing some of this content together. And I'll share through my presentation just a few snippets from what Deseret News, the holding company, is doing to be able to create this prosperous local world. And in this world, I think it's my favorite quote from a gentleman called James Cass is extremely relevant. And that is that finite players play within boundaries, infinite players play with boundaries. And that is the challenge. If you are continuing to play within the boundaries of what you think of as TV and regional TV today, then yes, things will be good. There's a lot of good things to support where you are moving forward. But the real opportunities are to go beyond that, to where this can go. And there's a few key elements to that. So just briefly like to look at growth, particularly how Australia is growing and regional Australia is growing. Look at place, because up to now we've looked at television mainly in our living rooms, and it's going far beyond that today. But the really central thing is community. Community is where people see value, it's where people connect. And you, in fact, have the potential to create extraordinary community and to tap that through reaching those people, influencing their buying decisions, and seeing what comes out as a result. And in fact, the impact of television is going to grow and grow through a variety of mechanisms.